pre-programmed functions that can fire off during the day. Welcome back to Uncivilized Rebirth. Here's a place that I hope you find is a place of logic, reasoning, and sound rationale on the case or for the case of healing. I hope some of that wasn't redundant, which it probably is, but today I want to talk about another aspect of the healing process. And what that is using our bodies the way they were meant to be used. And looking at that, I'm referring to the internal workings of the brain and when it should be used and why it should be used, and how I personally gained a lot more control of my brain. So, our brain is a tool inside the skull, and it is for our spirit to use to navigate the world we're in. So, our spirit can't see here and can't remember things from here. So, what happens is, and that's because it's a completely different reality. So the spirit is given this processing unit called the brain, which is amazingly powerful. It can solve problems here. It can be given ideas and solutions. And then it also can see these happenings and record them in the brain and file them away. This is for the spirit to review later, which it's very nice to be able to do that. Just think about that. A tree is always just a tree. It can't remember back to this great time when it was a child and be like, oh, my daddy tree, dropped me out of the sky and I fell on the ground. Oh, it's like, there's no need to remember that. It just is. Where our spirits want to be able to even reference the past because it realized, or it's like, you can use the past to help know what to do next. So view the brain as an incredible processing unit. It basically takes information from here, encodes it, and then plays it back. It has to recode it to be seen by the consciousness and interpreted as what's going on here. It is meant to be used purposefully, as in you power this thing up and you kind of step in, it's like, oh man, this is a powerful tool that's being operated. It's a biomechanical processing unit. How do you get control of that? Because so much of this world is like, do this, do that. You have to be this way, have to act that way. And it's like the brain is getting programmed to do all these things out here. And then in the morning when it wakes up, it automatically starts populating. It's like populating. And the spirit observes this. And it's like, oh, got to get to it. And then the brain can actually function on its own and send signals and impulses to different parts of the brain that activate different functions in the body. So do you want basically an artificial processing unit? And it doesn't really have intelligence, but it has great comprehension level. Do you really want that running your day, or do you want you deciding what you do next? How I gain control of this is in the winter of 2021, for about 2 or 3 months, I would get up at 3:30 and I would sit and meditate for about 30 minutes. I would take several deep grounding breaths and then I would just stay there. And so I started to realize like my brain was sending these my brain was getting these signals to start doing these things. And that's when I would wake up in the morning. Okay, let me back up a little bit because I have to add this to make it make more sense. So in the morning when I would wake up, my brain would just start this process of do this, do this, do this, do this. And so I would just go through and do all that. And that would be like maybe at like 4:35 in the morning. But I started getting up at 3:30 in the morning, which was before my brain is programmed to start operating. Because like when it sees dawn and daylight, it's like programmed to do this, this, and this, and start this process. But at 3:30 in the morning, it's not programmed to do anything but just sit there. So it's such a prime time to sit there and do nothing, because there's nothing pre-programmed in at 3:30 in the morning. It's usually asleep. So you're just basically waking it up and sitting there for 30 minutes just doing nothing. And your brain just gets this time. You're alert and your brain is calm and not just being run ragged, because it's a high-end, high-functioning machine, and it needs to be fed properly and taken care of. And sometimes it just needs to sit there and rest and not be used. And a lot of times what happens during this point in time, you start to easily prioritize what you're going to do for the day, and easily prioritize what the most important things are. Because basically you're stepping into the day in a very, very calm way, extremely calm, and you already have this knowing and feeling of the priority of things and the order in which things should operate. And that's using your awareness or your spirit to sit down and just let your brain rest. But if it does say anything, not to follow those instructions at all. So with that, when you set that and then you practice doing that, where the brain doesn't start operating until you tell it to operate, and it makes life a lot simpler and a lot easier by not being run by these pre-programmed functions that can fire off during the day or first thing in the morning. So when you get there and you sit down and you start to meditate and just let your mind be calm, it's not easy. I found it was very difficult because I kept wanting to get up. Oh, I could go do this or go do that. But I started to realize, in the grand scheme of things, all of the million things I pick up and move around and put down are pointless in the grand expanse of the beginning of this creation to when it all fizzles out, wherever that might be. Me putting importance on finding that missing sock from yesterday, and I could get up right now and go search for that sock again. How is that me utilizing my time, or is like my importance level must be askew horribly if I think that should be a priority versus taking care of this machine. But this also helps reprioritize the order in which things get programmed in your brain to do. So for me, I started gaining more control of my mind, and I started to become aware of what I was aware of, or what was watching, if that makes sense. So it was for the first time I realized I'm not in my brain, if that makes sense. I am not my brain. I'm not just seeing what's inside this brain and that's it. I'm a spirit that is controlling this brain. And that realization created this separation of the mind and the spirit. And once that happens, everything in life changes. Everything. Because then you start realizing that this brain has been programmed to function and respond in a certain way to everything around it. Just incredibly programmable. So you sit there seeing this, you're like, okay, wow, I have to reprogram this whole thing, everything, because all the actions on how you do stuff also has this layer and programming of who you are and what your belief systems are. So you have to change all of that at a deep level, because the fact When you start having your intentions based on what is the best thing to do versus what I'm being told to do, or a way I'm being told to act or told to think and respond with these sounds, is like there's no intention there. It's just monkey see, monkey do. So you're not doing anything like purposeful whatsoever. It's just like you're a puppet, a marionette, I guess. I don't know if that's what it's called, but you're sitting there, you're being danced around completely. So reprogramming the brain, understanding of how things work, takes a long time, but you develop this massive awareness that just does not go away ever. And the more you progress down this road, the more you see it's like a game. Like it is like almost like a game. Really, it's like the people at the top are like, how can we do these things and make all these people do what we want? You know, it's like huge, like it's like if you taught chickens to run their own chicken coop. Like that's basically what's going on at a very, very high level. So when you take a step back from that and you really understand that, then you really start analyzing yourself. And the cool thing for me when I started analyzing it was being able to move past like the shame, blame, and judgment, but into, man, like there were so many ways that I was not taught well that I have to totally relearn because I was taught this way. And it's like, okay, cool. So like, how do I truly want to be? Like, you know, like, okay, yeah, I truly want to be this way in this manner. It's like, well, that's a very big ticket. Like, how do you do that? It's like, well, you have to chip away like every single day. And so every day is just like this seemingly insurmountable task to like find out like what is true, what isn't true, like what beliefs do I kick to the curb, and what things are okay to believe, you know, and how do I now interact with the world, and who do I want to interact with now that I have this deeper understanding of what my personality was inside the brain. So I'm going to wrap this up. I've never really talked about this and tried to explain the meditation part and what it did for me, but it really changed the trajectory of my life tremendously. And for anybody that finds themselves just overrun and run ragged, what I would like to suggest is get up at 3:30 in the morning, sit there for 30 minutes, do nothing, do some deep breathing, and do that for 30 days. Think about that. It's not a massive investment of time. You would be sleeping otherwise. But here's this natural remedy to your brain being run ragged. Imagine every time you turn your computer on and there was no order to the formatting and there was like no order to anything. So anywhere you clicked, any possible thing could pop up or program. And at any moment while you're using a program, it might shut off and open up 3 others. And it's like every time that happens, you think what computering is doing what that program tells you. It's like, oh, it tells me to like edit this. Oh, it tells me to order this off Amazon. Oh, it tells me to calculator. It's just all these different things opening up and you start doing it. That's what's happening in our brains. It's like these different programs pop up. We're like, oh, start doing this. Up, stop doing this. Start doing this. Stop doing this. No longer it's, oh, I don't want this program. Not using you. Don't need these thoughts right now. Not going to use you. I need this part of my brain. I will use this part of my brain. And when you do that, I will say this. All of the, and this is the crazy part, honestly, all of the truths of the world and all the things that you've been sold as like the facade of society, they all drop away. And then like once those lenses come off, it's like, ooh, like it changes everything. So I challenge you, 30 days, 30 minutes at 3:30 a.m. And I hope you like this video. It's kind of me trying to talk about meditation. And the reason why it's a little difficult for me is because I came from a very conservative place, the Bible Belt. And like all of that is just not taught. Well, I know what's not taught. It's like this is like where the truth is. And so if you learn what the truth is, this facade is no longer applicable. Anyway, if you like the video, please like and subscribe. If you didn't like it, actually tell me why, and I will try to adjust fire. No joke. Like, I want to present everything as good as possible and in a digestible manner. And I'm improving. If you have bad comments, please leave them below, and it'll be a good challenge for me because I will respond in a gentlemanly manner. And I'm trying not to laugh because sometimes what I'll do is I'll ask ChatGPT to write up a response that's just super professional. I send it. And it's like, I take all emotions and separate them. You know, it's like... So, and then if you want to share this video, that'd be cool also. Like, so gnarly. Roadhouse. And I'm going to end the video.